Severe weather expected on Monday. And the expectation is that the enhanced risk will continue into Tuesday on tonight's weather beat. Hello, my name's Nathan Foy here in the Force 13 studio once again, and I'm joined, like we were last night, by Ethan Bruning, and we're here to talk about all kinds of things to do with the United States weather. We have a severe weather event lingering, or looming over us, which is an enhanced risk, and we also have, obviously, winter weather, which is continuing in its typical fashion as well. There's Ethan, he's with us right now, but before I let him speak just for a second, we'll go straight to not properly functioning imagery there it is now, of a snow event that's now leaving the northeastern United States. But Ethan, the first thing we really want to talk about tonight is the severe weather impact potential for tomorrow, Monday, as it is with us right now. What's your take on it? Enhanced risk.
Yeah, so the Storm Prediction Center went ahead and they maintained a slight risk for their initial Day 2 outlook this morning. However, at their midday outlook, they went ahead and upgraded portions of the Gulf Coast to a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk. So basically, what that means is on a 5-level scale, you have a level 1, which is marginal, level 2 slight, level 3 enhanced, which is what we're at, level 4 moderate, and then level 5, of course, is high. And we're kind of right at that middle point at this point. So this is mainly going to be driven by a probability for tornadoes, some of which could be significant. So there is a hatched risk with this. So that means what that means is there is a chance of EF2 or stronger tornadoes being possible with this event as well. And of course, we've got that this enhancement is also driven by, I believe, by wind. I don't believe this. It is a significant wind risk.
Yep, all hazards.
So that means that we could have some wind gusts embedded within this line that we're going to be seeing, potentially in excess of 70 to 75 miles per hour. And of course, that hail threat, of course, is also a threat, of course, but it's mainly going to be on the western fringes of this event. So that's going to be mainly along the coastlines of Texas and Louisiana and southwestern Mississippi. So hail is going to be the initial threat, but as this event trends further off towards the east, tornadoes and severe damaging winds and heavy rainfall will be the primary threat with this line as it moves off towards the east, Nathan.
Now we're seeing a hatched tornado and wind risk from this severe event. So people might get a little bit confused at this point. The hatching, Ethan, it's 10% and then some.
Yeah. So basically, what the whole percentages mean is, right now we have a 10% risk for tornadoes. What that means is there is a 10% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of a given point. And it's the same, but for wind and hail. So wind is at 30% and hail is at 15%. And those hatched meanings, like I just explained just a few minutes earlier, for tornadoes is EF2 or stronger, and for winds is wind gusts in excess of hurricane force. If we did have a hail one, it would be for hail, I believe, in excess of 2 inches. It might be 3. But it's hail in excess of a pretty large size. Thankfully, we don't have that with this event just yet. Not saying it's going to happen, but it could. But if it was going to happen, it's going to happen back off towards the west, in the vicinity of Houston and southwestern Louisiana, if it happens. Because that is mainly going to be where our supercells are going to be firing up for this event.
We'll be covering this extensively tomorrow, but what is most striking about this, Ethan, is that it is, or at least the authorities are suggesting, that it is going to be actually a nighttime threat more than anything. What's your take on that?
Yes, I'll go ahead and I'll pull up the latest NAM 3-kilometer model run. This is just came out, just ran its 18Z run. We'll go ahead and we'll zoom in here on the U.S. East Coast, southeast coast, I should say. And you can see here, now we're getting into Monday here. This is midday Monday. So you can see we're having a lot of rainfall. I'll go do a zoom where we can actually see Texas here. And there you can see there's our severe weather event started to take hold. Remember, it's for the Gulf Coast region that we want to look at. So there's that. We do have a marginal risk tonight. That's mainly going to be for the overnight hours on Monday across these regions. Some damaging wind gusts are the primary threat there. But there you can see as our event started to take hold tomorrow. And you can see it's going to be these embedded supercells that we're going to be watching for damaging winds and strong tornadoes. This kind of setup is pretty usual for this time of the year down here in the deep south. And as you can see, as this line transitions off towards the east, now we're getting into Tuesday here. I'll move the thing back over here to Tuesday.
Yep.
You can see here that this event becomes much more linear. So we're still going to have the threat of embedded tornadoes within this. These are the kind of tornadoes that are basically, they spin up with little to no warning. And there is the chance that some of these tornadoes that might be touching down with this event might not even be warned. So if you're under a warning for this kind of event tomorrow, be sure to heed it as if it is a tornado warning and seek shelter immediately, because these kind of tornadoes can spin up fast and they have been known to be super strong. Just think of Rolling Fork last year. That was a quick spin up tornado, and look at what that did in Mississippi. But as this line transitions further off towards the east, it remains fairly linear as it moves into the Florida Panhandle, and it will start to weaken with eastward extent as we go throughout the afternoon on Tuesday and to Wednesday. And it'll merge off to the East Coast, and we'll be out to sea at that point. So it'll be a mainly damaging wind threat with embedded tornadoes, some of which could be strong within this line, Nathan.
I just noticed at the bottom of our bar there, it said one of the risk categories for Mobile and Jackson, Alabama. It's actually Mississippi, obviously. Just wanted to say that there. But there's that line moving right the way through, Ethan. And it's the same complex that's going to cause the winter weather further north as well.
Yes, the winter weather is another side of this that we're going to be needing to watch very closely. I'll go back up here to the plains here, where we do actually have blizzard warnings in effect here.
Already.
I'll go up here. Yes, we do have blizzard warnings for a large section of southwestern Kansas, southeastern Colorado, the Texas Panhandle, the Oklahoma Panhandle, as well as northeastern New Mexico. This does include Dodge City, I believe. Yep, there's Dodge City. Garden City is in there as well. What my guess is this is mainly going to be for blowing snow. This isn't going to be for that's what we call a ground blizzard. So you can see here, there's that low pressure system developing, and that's going to be some very strong winds on the backside of this. And that's probably going to be what our blizzard warning is going to be for. So if we look at the snow accumulations for this, I'll go for the 10-to-1 ratio. You can see overall, for what you would expect with a blizzard, so to speak, they're not particularly high. You know, we've got some 6, 7, 8 inches in here, so maybe isolated 9s, isolated upwards of maybe a little bit higher in this model run. This is just one run, so don't take this at face value. But you can see these snow totals across the board aren't really that high, but it's the wind gusts are going to be what's going to be the big thing causing this winter storm warning. And I'll go here, and you can see here, as this low pressure system develops, look at those winds here. Those are reaching 25, 30 knots in places. That's 30, 35 miles per hour. And that is what we call a ground blizzard, where basically you already have snow on the ground, but since the winds are so strong, you have basically a blizzard-like effect because the winds are so strong and they're just picking up snow and kicking it around and reducing visibility. This kind of thing happened with, if you remember, that big winter storm that caused all the delays with Southwest Airlines back in December 2022. That's the biggest thing that everyone remember from it. That was that kind of same thing, albeit to a lesser extent. That moved through many of the populated areas further off towards the east of what this is going to be affecting. So something like that, albeit a ground blizzard, what we're going to be seeing here in the plains here. But as the system moves off towards the east here, snow totals are going to ramp up big time, Nathan, as it moves across the
and into neighboring states.
Yes, as we get into the Great Lakes here, you can see this large complex now. Monday is going to be probably the day of preparation for many of these locations: Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, and probably Michigan. Monday is probably going to be your last day to prepare. In particular, as we go throughout the afternoon hours in Missouri and Iowa, that is when the storm system will move in. And you can see as we get throughout the day on Tuesday, heavy snow moves into portions of central Illinois and maybe even get into portions of central Wisconsin in the coming hours. And then you can see that large complex continuing to move off towards the northeast, affecting large parts of this region throughout the day on Tuesday. And we're going to be seeing this complex continue to move off towards the northeast, bringing strong winds, heavy amounts of rainfall, severe weather, as we were just explained, and heavy amounts of snow as it moves off towards the east here, and will move out of the region as we go throughout the day on Wednesday. Snow totals on this model run aren't looking too particularly high, I recall. albeit we do have some totals here that you can see across the Nebraska region that are in excess of a foot. 8 inches plus across portions of northern Missouri, Iowa here. But you'll notice particularly in Illinois and Wisconsin, snow totals are a little bit lower than what we would be expecting for this winter storm. We'll have to wait and see. There's a little bit of uncertainty on how much snow falls across these regions, particularly across Illinois and Wisconsin. So it is
Yep.
very important that you stay tuned to your the National Weather Service offices in Milwaukee, Chicago, and I forget the other one. I think it's La Crosse in these regions for the latest updates on this very uncertain situation. Even though that this winter storm is 24, 48 hours
I
away,
know.
we're
Big
still not
uncertainties there.
incredibly free.
And do you think it
Yeah.
could go on to the northeast as well or not?
It's going to go into the northeast, but the northeast isn't really going to be getting the snow side of this. So
Okay.
the big snowpack that the northeast is actually going to have, we're going to be seeing this big moisture or this big warm area behind this. There you can see that that storm system developing, and you can see here as this system pushes off into moves across the Great Lakes region on
Oh,
Wednesday.
yeah.
You can see,
Really
look
raising
at the
those
warmth here.
temperatures.
50 is across New England, so the snow melt is going to be ridiculous. And on
Wow.
top of that, as the system moves on through, you're going to have heavy rain be the threat as well. Look at that on Wednesday into Thursday here. That's
Some
Wednesday, actually. Look at that heavy rainfall threat across portions of New England. They just had a major winter storm, and now they have this coming up towards them.
could be a major flooding threat there.
Yeah, and even some snow on the backside that could be moving on in as well for some locations as well, bringing some
And whilst we're on the
some minor
subject,
snow
I just
accumulators.
want to point out this graphic here is preliminary snowfall accumulations that have occurred in the northeast from this most recent snow event. Now, this only goes up to 12 UTC, which is a good 10 hours ago now, so it's going to be higher. But the accumulations at this point were bordering on 12 inches in a few isolated locations in sort of central New York State. Well, not too far north of New York City, really, but along that big line. And a large swathe above 8 inches from eastern Pennsylvania through southern New York into northern Connecticut and western Massachusetts, which will, of course, be extending eastwards, or was extending eastwards this evening with this receding snow line that's just leaving Boston as we do this broadcast, Ethan. And you're showing us Chicago.
Yes, this is the latest package on this information on this winter storm that the National Weather Service in Chicago is saying. So I'll go over this real quick.
Yeah.
And you can see here that they're saying that they expect 2 rounds of wintry weather will move to the region. They expect the first round, this is going to be the main system pushing on through. That's going to be Monday afternoon to Tuesday area wide. That's what we're going to be seeing, and I'll go over the direct to the model one here. That's that first wave that moves on through. And then you can see they have a little bit of a break as the low pressure itself moves on through. And then they get the backside. That's just round 2, Tuesday PM. And that is going to deliver some minor snow accumulations. Not going to be as heavy snowfall as this first round. The first round's going to be the big one. And then you might get some additional snow accumulations, maybe a few inches or more on the backside of this. And you can see that they are saying that the heaviest snow with each round may not overlap in area, with the highest threat for warning level impacts during round 2 in northwestern Illinois. And they are saying they've issued this product now a few times, and they're saying that they've issued a winter storm watches. You can see that on this graphic here. There's those winter storm watches. It doesn't hit Chicago just yet, but it would not surprise me if they do expand eastwards in the coming hours to include Chicago itself. So this is what they're forecasting here. This is what they're forecasting. Only a few inches of snow Monday night. This is just Monday night. This is not for the whole event. So they're only forecasting 1 to 3 inches for areas west of Chicago, 2 to 4 southwest, and maybe even a little bit into northwestern Indiana. Pretty same regions for areas up north. But you can see here, this is the massive amount of uncertainty with this winter storm when it comes to these regions. Look at how sharp that gradient is for the chance of 6 inches or more of additional snow. That is quite significant to see that kind of gradient. You look at the NAM 3 kilometers total snow accumulations here, and I'll go to the actual the NAM 12 kilometer as we call it here in just a minute. You can see here, I'll zoom in on many of these regions. Look at that gradient here from versus Chicago into northwestern Indiana. Look at that. That's an hour's drive right there to go from 1 inches up to 5.6 inches in Chicago. I'll go over to the regular NAM model, and I imagine it'll show a pretty similar story, Nathan. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. And that reminds me of a trip that I went on when I was snow chasing here in the UK last winter, and it was like an hour's drive from Green to a good foot of snow. Not quite the maybe not as much as the well, I don't know actually. It could be comparable, but certainly a massive gradient.
So this is what the National Weather Service in Chicago is also saying for the criteria for winter storm watches and warnings. This also applies for anywhere across the country, albeit with a little bit of discrepancy. I'll explain that
Yeah,
here in
because
just a
I'm
minute.
slightly illiterate as well. We need to know about these things.
Yeah, so basically, what a winter storm watch means that winter weather is possible in these regions, and that you should be preparing for hazardous winter weather. And for this specific area in Chicago, this typically corresponds to 6+ inches of snowfall that results in very hazardous travel, often accompanied by strong winds, falling temperatures, intense snowfall rates, and/or a degree of rarity. And then, of course, a winter storm warning is a level above that, and that means that a wintry weather is expected and hazardous winter weather is expected. Now, the level of snowfall or impacts that is needed for a National Weather Service office to issue a winter storm watch or warning varies from office to office. For example, up here in Chicago, it's 6+ inches of snow versus down here, just to the southeast of there in Indianapolis, it's
Yeah.
5 inches. So it varies from office to office on snowfall amounts to issue these kind of warnings. But regardless, any kind of snowfall, any amount of snowfall here that you can say, even including outside of this winter storm watch right now, that means that that snowfall accumulation or winter weather will be impactful and will cause some dangerous travel conditions, certainly, and beyond that, impacts as well.
All right, Ethan, moving on. This is from Mobile, Pensacola Forecast Office, showing you the potential for these nighttime severe storms Monday night into Tuesday morning. Damaging winds of 70 miles per hour plus potentially. Tornadoes, a couple of tornadoes could be strong EF2 plus. What's your take on the actual tornado risk and what we might expect on tomorrow night?
I haven't really looked into it that much, but I expect that we're going to be seeing a few tornadoes overnight tomorrow night, particularly in southeastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and southern Alabama, and maybe the western fringes of the Florida Panhandle, in areas of Tallahassee and west, and maybe a little bit east of there as well. Those are kind of general locations for our nighttime threat. So I'll circle an area here that I'm really outlining for this.
Yep.
I'm mainly thinking about this area right here. That would be our main primary region to see those overnight tornadoes. And
You've
these
pretty
are
much circled the exact enhanced risk.
yeah. So when we think of this kind of event where we have spin up tornadoes, going to be really quick and are going to be oftentimes unwarned, believe it or not, that this happens all the time down here. Spin up quick tornadoes wrapped in rain, because this line's going to be moving very fast. That's another hazard. The fast movement of these things wrapped in rain as well to the rain rates in the squall line, and the fact that it's going to be at nighttime. That is extremely life threatening, regardless of the tornado's intensity. EF0, EF1, who cares? It's a tornado. And it still is capable of causing loss of life as well as extreme amounts of damage. So it is going to be very important, especially in this circled region that I've circled here, that you have a way to receive watches and warnings overnight. Really easy one. I'm trying to figure out where mine is right now. My phone. You can go into your settings and you can enable emergency alerts in there. Please, if you have that turned off, turn it back on. Trust me, it will save your life. It has for me already, and it will for you as well. And you can also have another weather radio, and you can also stay tuned to National Weather Service offices and local management offices and news broadcast companies in these regions for the latest information, as well as this outbreak moves on through.
So that's that. Enhanced risk in effect for Monday and Tuesday is the takeaway from this, with potential for tornadoes, hail, and strong winds. The first and the last being the biggest threats. And of course, the winter weather that's going to be marauding through the central and northern United States. Final comment, Ethan? We're out of time pretty much.
Just going to gloss over this end of week winter storm. My thoughts remain the same as I did yesterday. We're looking at a low pressure developing somewhere down here back in the plains, and now models are starting to come into agreement that we're going to be seeing a low pressure track
Well, for me and Ethan, that's all from us tonight, and I'm sure we'll be back talking more about this as well as extensive coverage on this upcoming severe weather event. But from us here at Force 13 HQ and from Indianapolis, it's good night for now.